hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
I did not expect to hear the name Tim Burton. Not because, I don't believe in him or I don't care about him. It's just that it's been such a long time since I've heard of him doing or contributing to any sort of project. So hearing this, especially in the month of Halloween, the Addams family and Tim Burton.
Great timing.
Could not get any more Halloweeny than this.
When I read this article last night, I remembered the two films that came out back in the 90s. And I felt ever since those two movies came out, there has never been a really good adaptation or iteration of the Addams family.
Except the AUS version.
AUS version.
The
theatrical release that came out. That I remember I went there. They gave me free tickets. And it was really, really a pleasant performance. And I hope to see more of those from AUS, inshallah.
Yes, so shout out to the Performing Arts program at the American University of Sharjah. My university. My university just had to throw it in there. Shout out to all AOSers out there.
Sharjah students, let's say.
Come on. I'm really sorry. We're just going to be, it's AOS's
This is your
moment.
exclusive code.
AOS's spotlight. But let's go back to Tim Burton and the Addams family. Apparently he's working, he's going to be working, at least at the helm of an Addams family live action. I really like the fact that it's a live action rather than an animation. I love animation. I love CGI. I love all the kinds of variations of animation. But I'm super happy to see that Tim Burton is back to live action. It's been such a long time since we've seen him take on this sort of project. So I'm super excited for this one.
According to sources at Deadline, MGM TV is financing the development of the series and is currently looking for interested bidders. And one of them is Tim Burton himself. He's hoping to actually he's hoping to be the producer and even possibly direct the series. And when you say direct, that means we're obviously going to get that Tim Burton aesthetic touch.
Of course.
That is very well known.
And the interesting thing about this iteration is that even though there is not many information or details, but as far as we know, that it will be or might be from the perspective of Wednesday Addams, but I don't think we've had before. Usually when you think of the Addams family, you think of them as one unit, so you focus on the entire family. But to have it from Wednesday's perspective is super interesting. I'm down with this. Netflix should definitely take it, as long as they do not kill it at some point, because I know it can easily be one of the most watched TV shows or series on Netflix if they do not kill it too easily.
Well, Addams Family has been around since the 1930s, so
yeah.
I mean, even if Netflix does cancel it, I think just generally the franchise will always be alive and well.
I agree with you totally. That is very much true. But again, Netflix, please do not cancel it if you do end up buying it. Coming up next, we've got our first DC story about James Gunn talking about Suicide Squad and his latest tweets after the cover of Empire showed the cast, and he made some very, very, very bold statements about how some characters are not safe and might die. Let's talk about that.
Pulse 95.
A couple of days ago, Empire magazine debuted their official cover that showed all of the Suicide Squad characters. And James Gunn started asking questions like, for example, what characters do you think are most likely to survive? And somebody tweets, Harley Quinn has franchise armor. Pretty sure King Shark and Amanda Waller also have. DC has them and other things protection. And everyone will see at the set has an 80% chance of dying. To which James Gunn replies with, no character was protected by DC, and that they basically told him you can do whatever you want. So basically what he's saying, anybody can die, including Harley Quinn.
That's really, I would say already, that would give me all sorts of theories. But I like that. I like that because it suits this type of film, Suicide Squad. They're a group of just expendable characters who you shouldn't really care if they die or not because they're terrible people in the first place.
True.
So, like...
You can think of it from that point of view, yes.
Yeah, so I think it would be okay to kill off some of these characters because they're irredeemable. This is just part of the job.
I think the reason why he has the ability to kill them all is not because they're irredeemable, but the fact that there are so many of them in this movie that it's just like it's not a big deal if like a couple of them die, but not King Shark. Do not kill King Shark, please.
Harley Quinn, though.
That's very bold of him to say because that means if that happens, that means that there are so many future projects might not happen, which is a problem because a lot of people are hinging on to the idea that we might have a continuation of Birds of Prey, that this might also be an opportunity to have other iconic characters such as Ivy become also part of the DCEU or part of the DC franchise across theaters. You know, we want to see Ivy and all these characters interact with Harley Quinn. So I don't know if that's him just saying that, oh, worry about everybody. It's just, trying to scare people. But if Harley Quinn does actually die, I'm going to be upset because, again, it's a missed opportunity for future projects. Yeah. It's less about, ooh, I love this character. I love her. She's great. But, again, it's missed opportunities for future projects.
It's actually smart in a way to have some of these characters die out because it's in the name itself, Suicide Squad.
True.
Eventually, some of these members are going to have to die out and be replaced by more irredeemable, terrible people.
Maybe.
So I think it would be befitting of just the theme, suicide. Like they're going on suicide missions. Some of them might not come back.
I just hope that he did not just fill up the entirety of the cast just to kill some of them randomly, because that would have been a waste, and that would have been just like, why'd you cast them in the first place?
Maybe part of it is to honor their characters from the comics.
But still, it has to be like, there has to be some sort of progression. I wouldn't say that, not progression.
Yeah.
But it should be in a way where it complements the story and it's just not excessive amount of characters for no reason.
It would be...
Like, it'd just be like, what was that?
So
what was that for?
Imagine like this, all these Suicide Squad members, a few of them die out. Those who survive become like veteran characters that we grow to love and just always cheer on in future films.
Could be.
So Harley Quinn, I'm sure, would be a character that could survive.
Oh, we hope she's... I want to...
And she plays dirty, so I think she has what it takes.
She might be. Who knows? Again, James Gunn just, threw it up in the air and said anything can happen. And with that, we end our segment and we move on to our rumor that says that Ghost of Tsushima might either have or be preparing for a sequel or a new gaming experience. Which side are you on? Mikhail says it might be a sequel. I think it's a new gaming experience. Join us and join the conversation. Text us 4215 Ittisalat or do and tell us what you think. Short break and we'll be back with much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it.
It was only a couple of months back when Ghost of Tsushima was released, the last exclusive for the PlayStation 4 era, and it became the fastest selling PlayStation IP in history. And we also got the chance to review it here on the Afternoon Karak, so be sure to check it up on SoundCloud, YouTube, all our socials. It's up there. I gave it a pretty good score, so be sure to check that out. However, with the commercial success and the hype and just the love that people have for this game, there has been a new job listing from Sucker Punch Productions' website that could hint that they're working on a sequel or even a new experience for Ghost of Tsushima.
So the new job listing is narrative writer position, which means they want somebody to help write up a storyline. I'm going to go ahead and say new gaming experience simply because of the latest patches and latest updates or basically expansions to the game have been quite immersive. They feel like an extra added storyline, which just adds to the whole game plus. Because you say game plus, to a lot of people for many years simply means going backwards in the game and replaying some of your favorite chapters or the chapters where you failed. Just basically try to get some trophies and fix some loose ends here and there. However, lately when you say game plus, a lot of the times it's about expanding on the universe and adding more things. And I did talk about the latest patch that came out last last week, and it was super cool, whether it's the dogs, etc. So now I feel like they would want to add more to it. Maybe they want to make it even a more expansive series where people would want to come back and play it even more and more and more. They want to make the player loyal to this game because they just went ahead and bought an expensive game. It was around $60, am I correct?
Yeah, standard price.
Around that. So when you pay that much, that's a lot of money, regardless of what you say. So you want to pay your worth. Again, it's all about longevity and making sure that this series stays for a long time, because everybody's moving on to next gen. They're not waiting for the PS4 or PS4 titles, so they want you to stick around as much as you can.
You're right. Ghost of Tsushima recently had its biggest update, adding the Legends, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, which had the co-op mode. And what's interesting about this job listing is that it specifically asks for a desire to write stories set in feudal Japan. So could this mean that they're working on quest lines for co-op modes that players could play in the near future? Or is this for an entirely new sequel of Ghost of Tsushima, or something similar to Spider-Man Miles Morales? It's a standalone game set in the same world of Ghost of Tsushima, but it's not as big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like a little nice standalone story, like Uncharted Lost Legacy. 10-hour experience instead of the usual 20, 30 hours you would get from the base game.
Which is basically a new game experience, or again, an expansion to the storyline, which would be super cool for all fans of Ghost of Tsushima. We're going to be taking a short break. We have the sports headlines coming up, and then we're going to go back to talking. We do have an interview at the end of the hour, so make sure you're staying tuned for that.
This is Pulse 95.
Content creators from all platforms such as Twitch and YouTube have been suffering from all sorts of changes and updates, such as licensing the kind of music you have to put on your videos, being very careful as to not to infringe on fair use. And it's become a bit harder to be creative in those spaces without being flagged by the algorithm. And in a recent event on Twitch, where Twitch has been deleting thousands of videos and clips from streamers' archives because they're clamping down on the use of copyrighted music and videos. And it's got a lot of streamers worried because that's really their livelihood, and because they didn't use the music correctly, and now that copyright laws are implemented on these videos, they're gonna have to change the way they create content. And we had there was a comment from Alex Hutchinson, who was the head of Google
creative director of Stadia Games and Entertainment. And he basically makes some really, really bold claims.
A very unsavory statement, I would say.
Yes, he says instead of streamers worrying about their videos getting flagged for music, they're like, you don't even own this music. In fact, you should be paying developers instead of paying the streamers for streaming the games. And it's just like a question mark. First of all, they already bought the game.
Yeah.
They already did. They did their dues. They already paid. They already, did their part. They are supporting the industry. And in fact, what they're doing is they are advertising your game for you by playing this game. Yes, they're profiting from it, but they're also indirectly also pushing that the whole thing towards you guys in terms of people going forward and buying it, people becoming loyal to it as well.
Free publicity.
Exactly.
But what he's basically saying is that if content creators, streamers want to stream any publisher's game, they have to buy a license to have the right to stream the game before they can play it. Because his mindset is that we're making money off of playing those games for free at the expense of the publishers, but we bought those games.
I don't know even where he got that idea from. It's just so weird.
You know what I think it is? I think it's a hidden kind of mindset that is not ever spoken or expressed by the people of like Google or YouTube. Like, we're talking higher ups that they have this sort of mentality.
You really think so?
But they can never really bring it out in the open because they know it's going to get severe backlash.
It's not. The thing is, it just does not make sense. Like, there is a difference between having a controversial opinion that might get you backlash because, might be right but problematic. But then there's also the kind of comments and opinions such as these where just like, what are you trying to say? I don't understand anything you're trying to say. So I really don't understand what he means by free.
All the criticism has brought another statement from him. He says, amazing to me that people are upset at someone saying that the creators of content should be allowed to make some of the money from other people using their content for profit. I can see what he means, but when you've paid already to play the game, don't you have a right to stream it without having to license it? What about the everyday folk who just stream for fun and don't make it like their livelihood?
Exactly.
Are you telling them they have to call up the publisher and get all these licensing process?
That's just unnecessary. Not everybody makes it big. Even 100,000 viewers might not amount to anything. It's usually the big streamers. They're the ones who are actually bringing a lot of profit into their own pockets. So at this point, it's like, honestly, it just ruins the reputation that Stadia already has, that is already terrible as a platform. And now one of your creative directors is saying this. It's like, please, you need some sort of I don't know. This is the publicity you're getting. Really bad publicity from your creative director.
Just damage control it before it gets worse. Yikes.
Exactly.
But we want to hear from you guys. Text us 4215 and Cilantro Do. What do you think? Should gamers be paying a license to stream the game as well? Another layer of payment just to have the ability to stream. I want to hear from you guys right here on the afternoon Karak. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about Netflix and its plans to make its platform more animes. So that's great news.
Great news for us. Great news.
As a weep.
Stay tuned for that and much more.
This is Pulse 95.
In the past couple of years, we've seen a surge of Japanese culture sort of seeping into just all sorts of platforms. And I love it because that means more anime is going out there for the general public and just people who've never been introduced to it. And we, as hardcore anime fans, we do support Netflix pumping out great animes and whatnot. But maybe some of them are not as good, or I would say are really pushing that culture as we expected. But Netflix is really intent on bringing in more anime into their platform because they've just announced that they've signed a couple of deals with some of Japan's biggest animation studios, NAS Studio, Science Saru, Mappa Studios, and as well as there's also Studio Mir. And I'm like, which one from those studios would you say is your personal favorite?
I told you, Studio Mir, because they're the ones who did Legend of Korra, and even though guys, I'm really sorry to say this out loud, and you might not like what I'm gonna say, but Legend of Korra is a big miss for me. I did not enjoy it. However, I did enjoy the animation since the day it came out, like all the way back in, I think it was 2011, 2012. I can't remember. That's how long ago I watched it. I was watching it when it used to be like, concurrent with the United States back then. Yeah. Because I'm a massive fan of Avatar, The Last Airbender. So seeing a very modern take on it, because Avatar came out in 2008, around that time. So everything was kind of outdated. And then they were like, okay, now we have a continuation of the story and it's new, all this animation. And boy, the animation was just spotless, super polished, super great, just beautiful. So to see them being signed with Netflix, I'm just begging Netflix not to miss out on the opportunity. Take advantage of these studios, especially Studio Mir, because everybody can agree that Book 3 in Legend of Korra, that fight, everybody knows what fight I'm talking about, was just, the animation was absolutely out of this world.
For me, is Studio Mappa, because they're the ones who are involved with critically acclaimed Attack on Titan.
Oh, yes.
And if you know anything about quality, Attack on Titan really got it, and it's coming out with its final season, I think, next year. If you've seen the trailer, it looks absolutely stunning. They're also working on the.
But then they switched studios.
No, Mappa's the one working on it.
So the one there that was working on Attack on Titan the past 2 seasons, not the same one as working on this season.
It's I think I can't remember what studio worked on it.
One of them was
Mappa's the one wrapping up the season. Gotcha. There's also Jujutsu Kaisen, which is the new shonen anime.
I've been waiting for it to finish so I can get on with it and watch it. I'm just praying that Netflix, now that they officially signed up with these studios, they're not going to miss out on the opportunity of actually advertising and marketing these anime.
Yes.
Because I only come across them by coincidence.
Quality anime on Netflix. It's about time.
Please, Netflix, give us Weep something, please. We've been waiting for way too long. Coming up next is an exclusive interview with Sharjah Youth. We're going to be talking about their virtual art experience exhibition, Art for All. So stay tuned for that and much more right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Pulse 95.
You know, we've all gone through the pandemic in very different ways. And when it comes to people who are seeking to be more creative, looking to express themselves, whether through art, through content, here in Sharjah, the Sharjah Youth has been very adamant in trying to create a space, a virtual space that they're calling Art for All, and it's part of an effort to develop the talents of the participants in the field of arts and provide them with the knowledge and skills from expertise. And we have with us Mohamed Al Ali, who is the section head of programs and talent development at Sharjah Youth, to tell us more about the virtual art exhibition Art for All. Hello, Mohamed. How you doing?
Hello. Hi.
So we want to know more about this because this is the first ever. This is the first edition of the Arts for All exhibition. So could you tell us more about what this exhibition is and what does it aim to do?
Well, first, thank you very much for having me in this show. As for the art exhibition, it's actually called Art for All. It is a virtual art exhibition, and actually considered the first of its kind at Sharjah Youth.
Oh, wow.
We actually aim in this exhibition to provide the opportunity to the creative artists to show their work to the public and the community under this year's title, Standing Apart is Standing Together, in relativity, of course, to COVID-19 and the current situation.
I love the theme. It's very befitting, you know?
Me too, yes.
Despite being distant, we can still be close together to learn all the things we need to know about self-expression, about creativity. And we want to also now ask you about the exhibition itself. What can we expect? What are things that are going to be included in the exhibition?
Now, as for the part of the inclusion, it's going to be actually a 2-day journey in our exhibition. The exhibition will include a number of activities within. There will be first the official launch of the exhibition on Wednesday, 28th of October at 7 p.m. It will be followed by a virtual tour to view all the participating artworks. And the end of the tour, of course, we will be having the voting session for all the audience, where they will get the opportunity to vote on which artworks are the best that are shortlisted and displayed in the exhibition. So once the voting session ends, there will be an art discussion panel between the artists and Dr. Najat Makki and artist Khalil Abdul Wahid on all things about art and the art season in October. Now, this is basically the first day. However, in the second day, we will be having a number of workshops, art workshops, that will be offered for the audience to participate at, starting from 4 p.m. up to 7 p.m.
Wow.
And of course, we will be posting a detailed schedule of the workshops on our social media pages.
So can you first tell us what are your social media pages? We know that Instagram is at SJ Youth. Yeah. What about on other social media platforms?
Of course, you can also check us out on our official website, which is shjyouth.ae. Yeah, exactly.
And to participate in this, what is the process? Like, how can we, if like say Mikhail and I want to join in to this virtual session, how can we join?
All right. So actually, I wanted to discuss first about the how we started from Art for All session.
Yes, because I recall a couple of weeks ago, you guys, actually no, back in August, I was seeing how, because I follow you on Instagram, we saw all these call out for all artists to join in. Yes.
Yeah. So indeed, I mean, you've noticed it, and actually we started promoting Art for All since 31st of August and until early October, 1st of October.
Yeah.
We have actually received over 1,000 artworks with over 400 artists applying to participate in our exhibition. So once this was over and the campaign was over, at a later stage we started shortlisting the artworks alongside jury members, which I just mentioned earlier, includes artist and Dr. Najat Makki and artist Khalil Abdul Wahid. So Art for All as I said, will launch this week on Wednesday and Thursday over Zoom platform.
Yeah.
So there will be a Zoom platform. We will be sending out the links to access our Zoom platform and the virtual tour on all of our official sites and pages. So you will get this opportunity to attend with us on Wednesday and also Thursday.
We're super excited to join you guys. Any last words you want to dedicate to the youth of Sharjah and the entire UAE and maybe across the world?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I do encourage all the youth and the audience hearing us in this podcast to attend our launch to the exhibition Art for All by filling out the registration form available at our website, www.sjyouth.ae, or our Instagram page at sjyouth. And by participating in the workshops that are offered in the next day. I would also like to invite the parents to encourage their youth to be part of the Sharjah Youth family and participate in our upcoming programs and events. I would also like finally to note down that all of the artworks that will be displayed in the exhibition are open for purchase, and there will be a percentage taken from each purchased artwork to be given to the Big Heart Foundation to supporting charity and humanitarian projects.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. I did not see that one coming.
So calling out to all art enthusiasts out here in Sharjah and across the UAE, be sure to go ahead to shdyouth.ae, or you can also join them on their Instagram, SHJ and just the registration is free and it's accessible to all members, even if you're a beginner, if you're just someone who's curious about art, you're curious about creativity and self-expression, be sure to attend the exhibition that's going to be starting at the 28th of October.
Thank you so much, Mohamed, for joining us and sharing this really super cool Sharjah-born initiative and event, Art for All, a virtual art exhibition featuring lots of artists from across the UAE. And with that, we end our segment right here on the Afternoon Karak. We bid everybody farewell, to stay safe and take care. Taking over our big cast and Anas Cofield on Yalla Home, only here on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.